Yeah. So just as a brief of, why and how, because we're getting such questions, what is this heart to heart talk series, and questions like, do we have a heart and all of that. So very typical stuff. But I'd just like to say a few words there. Of course, first, welcome you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time out to come to join this inaugural session. This event or this series of talks was conceptualized largely because, nostalgic memories, and when friends sit and chat, we're often going back to, oh, we had such interesting times, good, bad, all of them. And we wanted to, stoke some of those memories that rejuvenate us and bind us all the time. And to be honest, we wanted to, at some point when Lisa, me, and a few others were talking, we wanted to hear our professors. I mean, it's for some of us, it's been almost 40 years since you left IRMA, and the newest ones, it's the 40th batch, which is there currently, 40th or 41st. So, those memories are seriously let's see what our professors, let's hear them once more. So let's reconnect with our professors, and many of them have left a very lasting impression on us. And we want to hear from them about their experiences of IRMA, their journey in shaping the institution, and also maybe a peek into how the institution perhaps has shaped their lives in a little way. And these anecdotes, we reckon, will go towards even building the institutional memory of IRMA over a period. We have about 10 speakers in line for the next 10 weeks. So I'm sure we will have a rich range of stories coming out, and these will add to the pool of institutional memories. And since what are professors without their students? Each of these sessions, we will, of course, have students who've interacted with the professors, also sharing their experiences in working with the professors. And so for this session too, we have 5 of our alumni who we've invited to be panelists. At the outset, we take anticipatory bail by saying that we are striving to work at gender diversity and sector diversity and all of that. So right now, just give us a little bit of indulgence, and let's see how this goes. So like I said, for this first session, we are very, very grateful that Professor Raja has agreed to put the spot, for us to allow us to put the spotlight on him. And nobody calls him Professor Rajagopalan. He's Raja to all of us, and a king in many ways.
Whatever name you people are used to. So,
yeah, exactly.
I have no idea.
So stories of Raja are clearly part of IRMA folklore, and he's been portrayed as a terror by the time we had joined, and then at the same time as a very warm person with a great sense of humor. That's what sticks. And of course, being in his classes, it leaves a lasting impression on you. I mean, there are some incredible memories there, and possibly some scars too. So some of it will be revealed in this session, and many more maybe as time goes. So without further ado, I welcome you, sir. Thank you for joining this session. Most people here may not need an introduction to Professor Raja, but for the benefit of those who do not know him intimately, and also for newer generations of IRMANs, a very, very brief, a very functional introduction. Professor Raja studied at BITS Pilani, and then completed a fellowship from IIM Ahmedabad. And soon after, in 1982, he joined IRMA, where he worked and lived for 16 years. He eventually moved on from IRMA in 1998 and went on to TAPMI, where I think he worked till 2006, sir. And yes, from there, he moved to muSigma, and continues to be a mentor and a lifelong learner, I think. Right now, when I looked at what he shared with us, it said he's studying or pursuing studies to become fellow of the Actuarial Society of India. Yeah, so no stopping to the learning process, I guess. And but of course, at this session is not about all his academic journeys, and I mean, partly that maybe, but we're going to know from him stories that we've heard, some stories that we may not have heard. So over to you, Professor Raja. An opening question that you often asked us. I was part of your interview panel, as many of us were, I think. And so often you asked us, what brings you to IRMA? So my opening question to you, what brought you to IRMA? And then you can take it anywhere from there.
Yeah, for me, right from as a small boy, as long as I can remember, teaching was a no-brainer as a career. Primarily because my uncle, late Dr. Gopu, was a medical practitioner by profession, but also a freedom fighter, both on the violent side as well as the peaceful non-cooperation side of the action. And later on, he devoted his entire life to free treatment of leprosy patients. He specialized in leprosy treatment from CMC Vellore under the famous Dr. Paul Brand. Hi, Pankaj. No, Sanjay Patro. Okay. Okay. So his hobby was to teach kids in the street, including my siblings and everybody, on everything under the sun. Politics, geography, science, maths, English, Tamil, whatever. And for him, teaching was a passion. And that influenced me greatly, both in terms of teaching as a profession and in terms of the values which I should carry with me. So teaching was given to me, and the only question was what to teach. And somewhere in BITS Pilani, even though I got my GPA, etc., the top 10 out of the batch of 500 or whatever it was, suddenly something told me electricity, magnetism, and complex variables is not my cup of tea. I couldn't sort of gel with it. So I said, I was hovering between economics and management. I happened to pick up management there. And so it went on. So I liked charts, maths anyway. So landed up in production quantitative methods and IIM Ahmedabad. After that, I was looking for a teaching opportunity. And at that time, several of my seniors and hostel mates were already faculty members in IIM. Tushar, Pankaj Jain, now Abramam. Sanjay Fansalkar was a friend of mine, 1 year senior to me in IIM. And those people were already there. So they used to come to my room, and some of them used to play bridge in my room in IIM. So they said, why don't you join IRMA? So I came off to IRMA. That's all, nothing more.
So I think you can just build on the story from there. So what happened after that, and how did it go? Like
that was my first class in IRMA, and Devarajan's batch was there. And I had written my first case as a teacher called Receiving End, describing Amul's receiving operations. That was a nice introduction to POM, I thought. And the day before, or a couple of days before, 3 of their batchmates were asked to leave the institute. I remember the names. Names are not important now. And they went on a non-cooperation, non-participation strike. What it means is that they will come and sit in the class and smoke. Of course, those days smoking was allowed. But they will not open their mouth. Now, how the hell do I have a case discussion of the case which I have written first time when students don't participate? So we are wondering. So the evening before, I caught out of Sanjay Fansalkar, Ved Prakash Gulati, and Mukesh Bhargav, who were my colleagues at that time. Some of you might know them, others might not. We decided that those 3 will they act as students, and with no holds barred will take place. They'll come prepared for the class, and I'll hold the discussion. So Devarajan and company were sitting there, and we started in right earnest, and the discussion was going on. I remember he had a batchmate called Anil Sule. I remember Devarajan? Anil Sule?
Yeah, Anil Sule.
Yeah, he couldn't resist himself. So when the heat of the discussion, he was jumping up and trying to participate. And people sitting next to him, there was one hefty character called Marnosh Umranwala in his batch. And he pulled him down. You're not supposed to participate in all that kind of stuff. And then 70 minutes class was over and I walked out. And that batch gave me a standing ovation. That was my introduction to teaching in IIM-A. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. That was
but my story was slightly different. I'll try to.
Obviously, it will be different.
As brief as possible. Professor Rajagopalan, straight from IIM, was so keen to impress upon people who came into the class. And we had diagnostic laboratories as the classes. And he shifted his class to 7 o'clock in the evening because he wanted to show a movie. If I remember, it was Wanted Manager, something like that, Raja?
I don't remember.
Okay, you don't remember. So he called that 16 projector operator from NDDB and he was projecting. Just then I got a telegram saying that my son was born. So I said, I'm leaving. He was furious. He said, how the hell can you leave? Have you taken permission? I said, I'll come take post facto permission and all. He would not let me go, but I didn't care. I walked off. And after that, every palm assignment, he was trying to give me a D.
Some excuse here, whether he was part of the math remedial. I hope he was not tortured. I was supposed to teach math remedial. Nitya was there, I remember. Until that day, the next day the class was supposed to start, I was supposed to teach and there was no classroom. Till the previous day, we suddenly converted 4 faculty rooms opposite to the director's office into a classroom and fixing up the board till the midnight, the previous night. And then next day I started teaching. We had a lot of fun.
Can you share some of your experiences with your colleagues?
Yeah, only pleasant ones. Okay. Yeah, Arul used to be a great help to me personally because, see, when I was a student in IIM Ahmedabad, he was a research associate for a course in which OB course, which Professor Sashi Mishra taught us and somebody else also taught us. He used to evaluate us for class participation and all that. So he knew about my gassing ability. So he also happened to become my neighbor. So his wife Asmi also I knew earlier because she was editing Vikalpa, the magazine of or journal of IIM Ahmedabad at that time. So Arul was one person. And Sanjay and Ved Prakash Gulati were very, very close friends. Because both of them used to come to IIM Ahmedabad to play bridge in my room. So much so that my room used to have at least 10-15 fellows sitting, including some faculty members of IIM Ahmedabad who used to come and play bridge there. So actually, literally, I used to get out of my room in the corridor. I used to change because that's the only private place I could get. So mine was a bridge adda. So all these people used to come there. Brahmam, of course, Brahmam, Pankaj were my batchmates. I mean, not batchmates, hostel mates. In fact, Pankaj was my neighbor in the first year. So I had a lot of people whom I knew. Mukesh Bhargav became a very good friend of ours. Then we had, I had a whole lot of people who sort of treated me like a kid because I was a kid at that time, 25 years, so nothing more. So I think I had the indulgence. And best was Haldipur, our director. Something got into his head that I'm a civil engineer. I tried telling him, sir, I am not. He said, don't lie to me just because you want to avoid work and all that. And then he dumped the entire campus shifting and dealing with Kanwin, who was architect, on my head. And I had a very interesting encounter when the gallery classes were being built. Galleries were just being laid. And then Haldipur took me there and then said, Raja, tell me whether the space is enough or not. So I measured it was only 3 feet each gallery. And I said, sir, this is absolutely rotten. If 10 people are going to sit in a row and the fellow in the middle has to come, typically that fellow will come late in the class and 5 fellows have to get up and, the whole thing will be a racket and it will not work. It has to be increased. So then I said the space given for the faculty is too short, too small. And then Haldipur said, no, what the issues you are raising are too serious. How do you change the shape of the room and number of seats, etc. So he went to Dr. Kurian, took me to Dr. Kurian. And Dr. Green said, yeah, young man, what do you want to say? Sir, there's something basically wrong with the design of the class. Oh, you know something about classroom design, is it? Kanwin has built IIT Kanpur and blah, 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 blah. You can come and tell me and all that. Anyway, so I'll come and see. On one Sunday, I got a phone call saying that, please come. Chairman has come and he asked. So all of us went, gaya, kam, job to chala gaya, karke. So I went there. So you tell me now and all that. We stood in the place where the faculty member is supposed to sit. I explained all that. Oh, tomorrow you will come and tell me you want to do a Bharatanatyam dance. I should provide enough space for that also. So I said, sir, communicating in teaching requires me to do a dance. I will do a dance. And you have to provide for it. And that is our sacred space. I don't want any compromises as far as classroom is concerned, because that's where we spend the productive time, hopefully. May not be the students, but at least the faculty members, they try. So he said, okay, call Kanwinde. So Kanwinde came, and then I took him to Ahmedabad, showed him and all that places and everywhere and all that. Oh, you fellows are rich. That's why you could afford all this kind of nonsense. So I said, sir, please don't talk about money here. We know what IRMA is being spent, how much money is being spent. So please do it and all that. So he did all kinds of things. I remember Arul's daughter Amuda was a child at the time, and he was living in the first floor, and the staircase of the faculty housing did not have any rails. It just had a 1 feet parapet. I felt it is very damn risky for all quota stones. No, if it rains, it will slip and fall. No time. So I said, no, railings are needed. They came and said, oh, this is modern technology and all. I said, modern technology means what? Children have become modern or what? They will fall down. They will. You have to provide rails. So many things were done for housing and so on and so forth. I think every faculty member had some very serious administrative responsibilities where things were not set, for example, Sanjay was admissions coordinator, and admissions used to be a ruckus at that time, and so on and so forth. Everybody had a very, what I would say, hands-on day-to-day experience. So there is no question of anybody stepping on anybody else's toes, as far as I could see. I was too young at that time and too inexperienced, but I sort of ran roughshod and got my things done. That's all I know. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, sounds a lot of fun. So if we may take a few questions from the panelists now.
Sure.
I would first like to invite Apoorva Oza. Again, most of you may know him, but for those who don't, Apoorva is from the 4th batch, is the CEO of AKRSP. And just before most of you came in, we were having a short chat. And he said his children call him a dinosaur because he's been in the same place for close to 3 decades now. But really works on the ground with rural communities and has done some really incredible work there. Apoorva, your memories of Professor Raja, and yeah, just share some with us.
So I thought, I thought because Raja, Sanjeev, Tushar, they were not much older than my batch. In fact, I think we had a couple of people who were as old as the professors.
Yeah, Devarajan was older than me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So that I think, so I thought, the one lesson I learned was that, and Raja, he was a complete package, meaning what you saw is what
Namuna, you mean?
No, not Namuna. But they were, you are always nervous, na? And, when you go and listen, I came from a relatively, Ahmedabad mein se koi aaya hi nahi tha. Very few people from Gujarat would come to IRMA.
Hey, and there was one, Paresh Shah.
So we were the only Gujus around. Yeah. And we had Pankaj William also. So we were the original Gujus in the batch. Okay. And, hamare wahan thoda all these South wale, quiz wale, bahut sophisticated English wale log hote the, so we used to feel slightly nervous. And guys would smoke there. In Gujarat, you wouldn't see a guy smoking in a college. So, we were in awe. And then we saw the professors there. And for us, the fact that, you could call them by first name, you could chat with them, you could go to their houses. And we went to Raja's place a lot. I remember.
Oh, God. Don't even start on that. Don't get me started on that.
I don't get started. We used to go land up very strategically at tea time. And, and then Usha would be forced to sort of come up with something to feed us up. So I think those were wonderful times. I'll just say, and I'll get Shankar. Shankar, I was just talking to my batch, and Shankar came up with this wonderful story of how he wouldn't have got admission but for Raja and Nuts. So it seems he was initially on the wait list, so he didn't know. So he was almost going to take up another job, and he'd almost given up. And then where he was at Ooty, Nuts was there. And Nuts said, no, let's check up. And they called up Raja, and Raja immediately looked at the list and said, no, this guy makes it. Otherwise, the next day, Shankar would have lost, gone to some Brook Bond or I don't know what, and become a salesman there and had a different path. He wouldn't be in World Bank. So I think he still thinks that thanks to Raja, he landed up in IRMA and then all the subsequent...
No, I think Sanjay was admissions coordinator and he had gone home for a summer vacation, and he said, Raja, you hold forth during my absence. So obviously somebody dropping out, wait list was, I was in the thick of things, maintaining the list, Then I saw this fellow's name. I regret my decision.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
Yeah, we have Shankar here also. So
No. Like Apoorva said, Raja was, of course, one of the most accessible and most humorous, fun-loving professors we had. He was a terror in class even since those days. I mean, in those days, productions and operations management. I mean, the reason he said he regretted his decision was my performance in POM, actually.
Don't elaborate.
But Raja broke a lot of egos because we thought as engineers, POM was our thing. So we should naturally get A's and B pluses and all. And then the engineers in the batch started getting low grades. And there was a lot of, egos were bruised because of that.
Seriously, I mean, all of us economics graduates thought we should be acing it, and he made all of us flunk. So not at all.
So that was a good thing. But I thought the lesson you learned was that because and when I used to go to his house, Usha would tell me that you all guys think it's all fun. This guy wakes up every morning at 4 o'clock to prepare for your classes, and then you realize that, boss, there is this one part which is all fun, but there's a lot of hard work which goes into preparing all these classes and preparing these case studies and all.
Yeah, that's one thing which I valued a lot, because even if I'm teaching a case for the 100th time, I will start afresh. 4 o'clock, that's my best time. Not for reading the case. Reading the case I would have done anyway, but seriously rethinking what I should be doing or what I should be saying, because the class may not be ready. Something might have misfired in the previous class. All those things matter a lot. And I never ever went to a class without preparing to the best of my ability. Not that I was sure about what I should be doing, but I put in my best. That continues to be the value. Yeah.
Since we're talking about case studies, Murli had just shared with us just before this chat the sugarcane case study that you had facilitated. Murli, to share something about that here.
No, that was the first case published by IRMA, I think, and Raja was the guide of it. And I remember Manohar, and we are family with Raja.
Yeah.
So I just thought it will rekindle many of the experiences we had together in IRMA and we are in NDDB. Yeah. We spent about 5 to 6 years together, Raja and me. Starting with admissions, probably reluctantly admitted me into IRMA. I was part of the admissions committee with Arul and Raja. I think I got a lowest mark. I had privy to the later the marks in the interview. So I might have entered in, but I think I ended up doing good work in IRMA and later. No.
Yeah. I see. As I said, I didn't have any special reasons to join IRMA. I never had that kind of a passion for rural development or anything of that kind. So my pesha is teaching, and whatever I am to teach, if I have to teach smuggling, I'll teach it well to the best of my ability. So I had no such notion. So, but conceptually, I was very particular that the student should be strong. wherever they happen to apply it, that's a different. For example, there was a person called Nilima in Devarajan's batch, Nilima Ketan, who was with Seva Mandir for a long time. We used to have a running battle, you know. She used to give a sniggering look to me whenever I used to talk about management, production and all that, because she's a typical development oriented and, you know, what is all this nonsense and all that. And later on, I was told after they passed out and after about 7-8 years, he told one of our batchmates that, you know, the most useful class I've had is POM by Raja, because I could use it actually in my job, whatever job I was doing. So this particular issue, which Murali is talking about, was a crazy, unexplainable kind of a phenomena which was happening in South Gujarat, especially Bardoli, those areas which are sugarcane rich areas. Farmers used to burn their sugarcane crop. Coming from Tanjore, which is a paddy bowl of Tamil Nadu, to hear of somebody burning their crop is unheard of. Unheard of. It's almost like a killing your own child or something of the kind. No, you don't burn a crop which you have grown. But then, knowing Gujus, I thought there must be some logic to it. So I told, I had visited Chaltan sugar factory along with Tushar, where, you know, the share price of the Chaltan sugar factory, which was, I think, 100 rupee per share, used to sell for 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs. Unheard of again. Compared to a private sector, if you say Reliance share is selling at 2 lakhs, we'll all swoon. But, you know, such phenomena was happening there. And I talked to the chairman and he said, yeah, bachcho ko bhej do, idhar kuch project karna hai to. So Manoharan was a guinea pig for me. I said, this is a problem, why don't you do it? And Mano did such a fantastic job of documenting it and explaining it. That and Ganesh Prabhu's of your batch, Ganesh Prabhu and Ranjana Paranjpe. I think the 2 first student case studies published out of the MTS projects which they did. And that gave me the idea that, you know, perhaps MTS projects can be turned around into something meaningful, both for the students as well as for the institute. And then I started the MTS seminar series. I used to be the only audience. I said I make it voluntary for all the students and the faculty members, whether they want to come or not, that's their call. But I will be there. So I used to read every single MTS report of my time, without exception, and sit through, listen to this thing. And out of that came something known as the Thursday afternoon seminar series, which is going on even today in IRMA. I started that. So I wanted to give respect to every student, every person who is involved with IRMA, whether he is alumni or student or anybody who does sincere work, and they should be recognized for whatever it is worth. Yeah.
I just wanted to remind sir to talk more about the 2 major interventions we worked together and Dr. Kurian, MIO and brain stress. MIO and brain stress. Yeah.
Brain stress.
In the IRMA, which used to feed planning commission session.
Oh.
Yeah,
yeah. Okay. See. 87-89 batch of Murali was the first batch I handled as a placement chairman, full-time placement chairman. If I recall correctly, 86-88 batch had a tough time in the placement, and that was also primarily because there was an experiment conducted the previous, when the batch was admitted, that only postgraduate students will be admitted or something like that. And the batch was very small, and they had a very horrid time into the placement because several things misfired. And Shekhar was handling that, and he got tired of it. He said, Raja, this is not worth it. It's a thankless task. So I said, I'll take it up and do it. So then at that time, I met chairman along with Tushar, who was the director at that time, and told him that this will not work, because you can't put people like Balika Bakra in some place and not providing a protective umbrella. I remember Ajay Shastri's batch. I don't remember which year it was. I remember that I think subsequently. Okay, anyway. So we mooted the concept of a management pool in NDDB, where they will take the best pick which is available and people who are interested, and put them in tough positions and responsibilities, and hopefully they will grow up into this thing. So I think Murali's batch was the first batch which went through that management pool concept. Am I right, Murali?
Yes, Ganesh is still there.
Ganesh, 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 Prabhu, all these people. And so at that time also NDDB started that oil seeds project, market intervention operation, MIO as it was called, which was a massive intervention in the oil sector at that time, edible oil sector. And somehow either because of these chaps or whatever may be the reason, I got pulled into, myself and Sanjay got pulled into, and they had a direct line to TN session at that time, NDDB. Because a lot of market manipulations were going on and so on and so forth. And we were supposed to provide analysis. Almost every day or every alternate day, we used to meet in Dr. Anuja's room in NDDB and discuss what is to be done, what stories to plant in newspapers tomorrow and so on and so forth. All kinds of things used to happen. And myself and Sanjeev took the responsibility of writing it out. I still remember one article because there was a lot of debate about how much of palm oil should be imported from Malaysia. And then I wrote a piece saying that it's not a question of how much of palm oil, it is a question of how many palms. So, and that headline went to session. And then I said, wow, you hit the nail on the head. And who is this gentleman who wrote it? So a lot of excitement. And I think it was a fascinating experience. Whether we succeed or not, that's a different story. But it was an interesting time.
Oh, we incurred only 500 crore loss, sir, to maintain prices in the band for 5 years. That is not much at all. So that is the cost of the project.
Compared to the amount of money the government keeps losing on any other crop, it's nothing.
Yeah. It is considered a great success. Professor Gulati is also there, who is our partner in the.
Gulati is there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, I'm there. I'm hearing you.
अरे वेव करो अभी तारीफ कर रहा था, गाली भी दे रहा था. Okay.
I remember those days, yeah. Good, very good. Go ahead.
Yeah. Very nice. Thank you so much, Murali. Again, for those who do not know Murali, like Professor Raja already mentioned, spent over 30 years in the livelihood sector and mentored several people, several institutions, has been instrumental in the NRLM, so has really kind of invested in the livelihood space over the past 3 decades. So all the magic that Raja...
More than that, I am impressed that he maintained his livelihood. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we now...
I seriously, Devarajan knows about it. I seriously believed that a guy who sacrifices $500 a month when his family conditions are such that 500 rupees means a lot to him, is much more committed to development or whatever else he is saying in his life, compared to a guy who's thinking rich and he says, I'm willing to work free for somebody. That doesn't cut much eyes at all with me. So in that sense, Murali, Devarajan, all these people mean a lot to me. Yeah.
So the first week happens, and then this course of MAC, the first case analysis, and within 3 days, I had to meet Raja, and for a 3-page analysis, there was a 5-page bullet point comments. Okay, 5-page bullet point comments. I had not witnessed that anywhere till then. I thought, okay, feedback, there would be 2-3 some gentle comments, but he literally tore the paper apart and me. You know, I was said, what is this happening? And so that was one. And then, there was another instance when these 5 o'clock submissions would be there on Sundays. Those days, no online. You would be seeing guys literally running for their life to the academic block for the submission, 5 o'clock submission. If somebody is 5 minutes late, it won't be accepted. And, the team would get 0, even if it is 10 or 15% weightage. That was again came as a shocker to many. We are putting so much of effort, and then the assignment would not be received by the faculty. Yeah. So that what happened? I had another assignment to work on, and same time Professor Raja had called me, given me some time for a meeting on a Sunday. So there was a clash between this 15% weightage of a assignment and meeting Professor Raja. And those days, no email, no phone, unless you have met in the office time and shared, no way to get back. Yeah, no way to get back. So I prefer to, to keep my place in the institute. 15% was too much, and didn't meet him on time. Next day morning, when I went to his office, he was fuming at me. I haven't seen. I think that was the maximum heat on me during the entire 2 years at IRMA. He said, "Why can't you come? Whatever 15%, 50%, I don't mind. You have given me time. I was in office. It was a Sunday, and you didn't show up." Then I said, when shall I meet? I will tell you that later. It didn't give me any time, anything much later. So when I look back, after 8-9 years in different places, when I joined XLRI.
Yeah, I also remember we would be very scared to come to your class, because unlike the other professors who would allow free participation, I mean, Ranu Kayastha or Uday Saklani could have a field day, and all of us could just watch in mute mode, just let them do all the talking. But you were too clever for that, I mean, you would just pick out names, and we were all scared whose name you will call out as soon as we come to the class. So there was this case, a 60-page case, if you remember, on Food Corporation of India. Mm-hmm.
I normally don't remember any 60-page case.
Yeah. There was one case which was about the techno-economic feasibility of vertical storage, sir, for Food Corporation of India. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that was a very big case, and
I had Profit case actually.
Yeah, I had prepared very hard, and I knew you wouldn't call out my name because I was a nobody, and I would never speak in the class, so everybody else would speak. So I had the luxury of staying quiet. Then anyway, I just didn't want to take even a 1% chance, because I didn't want to, if you called out my name, then it would be a big no for me. So I prepared very hard, and I came to the class. And what happens? The first name he says, Lakshma Reddy, come on, what do you think? I mean, I don't know what I said and what happened later on, but I mean, to this day, I feel very happy that I took the trouble to prepare, because that was the only time you called out my name, and I was not caught on the wrong foot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but then in a more serious note, that case I remember was about the Food Corporation and all the alternatives the government had, but was not bothered to implement. But recently I read an article in Hindu, and that article, op-ed article, was almost a repetition of the case that you had given us 35 years ago. Oh. I mean, the same problems, no solutions, food rotting, and a lot of money being wasted, being paid towards salaries of government staff. And I really feel that after 35 years, we are still talking about the same cases, same problems. And I mean, I really, that really hurts me. And Professor Raja, I mean, you are very great. There were two kinds of people there in IRMA in our days. people who like to believe that it was Institute of Development, sir, some kind of Institute for Poverty Alleviation, and some professors who would say that it was Institute for Rural Management. And you were the professor who truly believed in the concept of management and how management could help people, especially in the rural areas, rural produce organizations. And you were the professor who stuck to the ideals mentioned in the prospectus.
Yeah.
Ajay, you should tell us about your Narayanpur Express.
Yes.
No, Jaya,
No, it's not my Narayanpur Express.
Tushar has done it. Yes,
Tushar
yes,
and there used to be a librarian called Srinivas.
Yes. But you are the god at this for us.
They are the two main players.
Yeah.
And when I joined, and 83 batch, Narayanpur Express was to be played in, if I remember correctly, in the basement of the library building. If I remember, because that's the first year. Computer center was not yet set up. And that is a story Gulati should tell you one of these days. Okay. Basically, Tushar was looking for somebody who can shout loudly. And Sanjeev knew me, and Gulati also knew me. He used to come to IIM-Ahmedabad to my room. So they knew me, and they said, "Sir, you want anybody to shout? Raja is there. Please call him." So that's how I got dragged into it, and I immediately took a liking to that game. Of course, at that time itself, I told Tushar that you are going to a very elaborate physical model process. It's not really necessary. But anyway, I have to learn something about the villages, so let me join and do it. And lo and behold, the day the game was to be played, I thought I'll be just an observer, hanging around and having samosas or chai or whatever. And suddenly he said, no, you are handling one group, and Sanjeev is handling another group. Tushar will be the overall boss and managing the show. So I said, Sanjeev and me said, "Salah, chor nikla, kaam chor nikla, to Tushar, sab hamara upar laga diya." So that's how I got involved, and then I continued. Srini joined, Professor Srinivasan, Gulati was there, Manjunath was there, deputy librarian at that time. He used to be a trader or whatever, one of the traders. And me and Tushar always used to get into a fight because Tushar will always say, "Oh, this year let's announce a bounty," and all. I said, no, the 3 draughts have to be announced so that people die off and we can finish the game fast and finish it off and all that. So it used to go on. But conceptualizing that game is a very, very tough task, because in economics is known as a computable general equilibrium model in a macroeconomic sense. But to go through the entire elaborate system to come up with a self-sustaining or a self-contained system, because if you don't control the numbers properly, everybody in the village will die off, or everybody will be rolling in cash. One of these two will happen. So the numbers have to be very realistic. And later on, I went to the village where Tushar collected the data, and I saw that place sometime in late 90s, 92 or 93, sometime. So that was a thing, and I continued for long. And later on, I went and conducted the game along with Tushar in Masuri Academy, IAS Fellows, and Alkesh Sharma was a student at that time, who's now currently in Kerala cadre. And I remember one discussion was taking place in IAS Training Academy. What should be the security arrangement for the probationers who will go and stay in the village for 4 days or something like that? And the collector of the area has to go, Tashildar has to go, this has to go, that has to happen, security, blah, blah. And Alkesh got up and said, "Sir, we have stayed in villages for 2 weeks in IRMA. I don't know why people are wasting time on these kinds of things. We should just drop us somewhere in the district and we'll go and see." And that's how it. So I could see both sides of the picture. So Narayanpur Express was a very as sophisticated in construction as any management game I have come across, either it is strategic management or marketing or whatever, in terms of complexity of thinking and meaningfulness to people who play the game and take decisions, because it's something which you can feel, no? If you are part of the house and you see a child being removed from your house and it hits you. I always felt that whenever I get a case in management with involving a balance sheet or with some millions of dollars, etc., I'll knock off all the zeros and deal with only thousands. So that, 1,000 is something which I am familiar with, I can understand, I can sort of wrestle with. whereas millions and billions and all that doesn't make any damn difference to me, because the numbers you have to sort of come to grips with it. So Narayanpur Express had that early feeling of playing a real life game. And I remember I played that Narayanpur Express for the first batch of training for IAS officers when Chidambaram was the minister. Appu was the director at that time. It involved secretary level to sub-collector level, no? Entry level at IAS to the high topmost level. In those dadas, no? So they came and Narayanpur Express, same samosa, same chai, no lunch break, continue game and all that. One fellow got very wild. That was the chairman of the Narmada Development Authority at that time. And he said, no, I want a proper lunch. Please arrange a vehicle for me. I'll go and have a. I said, no such vehicle is available here. The same samosa, red bird sandwich, whatever it is we are eating, same thing. No, I'll complain to your director. I said, please do. So he rang up Appu. So Appu immediately called me to his office and said, what happened? So I said, this, okay, you did the right thing. I'll fix that guy up. So he called him and then said, I'll send a report to the cabinet secretary saying that you misbehaved here and you should be, disciplinary action should be taken. So immediately said, sorry, sir. Because Appu had a very tough reputation because he resigned as a director of the Masuri Academy against Zelsa. Yeah. So, so Narayanpur Express had a lot of memories for me. And the latest was in IIM Bangalore when Padmaja, who was conducting the Narayanpur Express game for IIM Bangalore batch, she came and invited me. So I went there and watched the match going on there. So that was the latest. Yeah.
I think two immortal words. I think it's shaped generations of IRMANs. Love to hear that from you, Professor Raja, once more. For every question, there was a counter question. So what? And I think the so what has become such a habit with so many of us. I think it shaped the careers for a lot of us here. So before signing off, I just wanted to say a very sincere thank you. And of course, love to hear those words once again. So what?
So what?
Well, thank you, Professor Raja.
No.
I'm sorry.
No. That is a pedagogical style which I personally prefer because the moment you agree with somebody, discussion stops. Both of you become close-minded, no? Yeah, both of us agree that therefore it must be true. So irrespective of what you say, I will say something opposite. That's my,
absolutely. So what?
That's my this thing, and that's okay. Some sense will come out of it at the end of it all. And in the process, I also learn. Otherwise, you keep blowing your own pipe. That's all. Yeah. I am surprised that Gautami is quiet. Why?
So I call upon Gautami. I request, she has an interest.
Praveen Morchale raised his finger. Praveen Morchale. Yeah.
Yeah. Gautami and then we can hear Praveen maybe.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Yeah, Gautami.
Hi, Professor Raja. I remember the biggest learning I had from you was not in the classroom, but Jayapadma, he was never thin, never slim. He taught me that trousers can have elastic in the waist, so you can grow as fat as you want and still wear trousers.
Yeah.
So, biggest learning, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
No, that's not complete. No. I did learn a lot more from you.
Today I learned my slips did not show. That's all.
Okay. I think your MSA classes is almost the only class I remember from IRMA. Considering we were there for 2 years, that says quite a lot. And I've used some of that stuff as well as I got in touch with you a couple of years back.
Yeah, sure.
So thank you very, very much.
I vividly remember Raja for two things. One is that he gave a 4-hour exam for us, which was an open book exam. So that's something which was unheard of for us. And I think even now it is a kind of unheard of when people are struggling how to conduct exams during this lockdown. I remembered you in the recent times, how to conduct open book exams. So something which you had done in 88, 89. Okay, that's one. And second reason why I remember you well was the placement. You did the placement for us so well. And I know you were not so happy with me because I chose not to join the federation, where I was shortlisted, but then I think you went and had a negotiation and got me a job in federation, but I chose to join NDDB instead of the federation. So anyway, these are the two reasons why I remember you the most.
You are in which batch? 86, 88 or 87, 89?
No, 88, 90 batch.
88, 90 batch. Okay. Sudarshan's batch, is it?
Sudarshan and Ramesh Bharat.
Finished by... Okay.
Raja, hi, I'm here, Sudarshan.
Hey, yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Sudarshan, I share a unique relationship because we were quiz partners in one of those sports quizzes. And poor guy, he never knew who he got with.
And you answered just one question and tom-tommed about it for 3 days.
Exactly, that is the only quiz I ever attended in my life. The thing was, they showed one gold medal winner in Olympics and asked what is so special about it. The only crazy answer I could think of was he was the only runner. So it turned out to be true. So that's all. Yeah.
So, Professor Sir, Ramesh Bharat here. Yes. Same batch, Sudarshan's batch. How are you, sir?
Fine.
So actually, someone, I think Sanjay very rightly mentioned about the terror of the 5 p.m. submission. That was very true with you, and still that nostalgic memories remain. And the lovely example that you shared now regarding the chairman of Narmada Development Authority being given a warning by the director, and he went back to the classroom. It is really wonderful, sir. I think it is something which you should write a book on. Such anecdotes are very hard to find these days.
Oh, thank you. No, talking about Oil Federation, Apoorva, you might remember your batchmate Madgula, right? E.P. Ganesh, Madgula, and Udali. These 3 people joined Andhra Pradesh Oil Federation, if I remember correctly, after passing out. Am I right, Apoorva?
Yeah, that's Professor Desai here. That's right, because I also worked at AP Oils after them. And Madgula, of course, you know, he's no more. He passed away.
I know.
But yeah. But let me
I'm
ask
just
you,
giving an experience of how people get caught in all kinds of problems. See, he was somehow established himself as a reliable person in AP Oil Federation the first year itself. And there was one procurement manager and one finance manager. Both of them were relying on Madgula because he was the only fellow who knew something about computers, PC, Excel sheet, and all that kind of nonsense at the time. So the procurement manager said, recommend some 500 rupees per ton or quintal or whatever it is, price as a procurement price. Otherwise, we won't get anything. Whereas the finance manager said, recommend only 400 at the maximum because otherwise we'll run up in loss. So both fellows came to Madgula saying that you write a recommendation, proposal. So this fellow wrote and sent it. So both of them submitted in their names to the MD. The MD called Madgula. These 2 Johnnies are giving this proposal. I don't know what to do. You tell me what I should do. So this fellow Madgula rings me up from Hyderabad and then says, sir, this is what is happening. You know Madgula, Apoorva. He was a very innocent kind of a person. Later on became an intelligent. Very sincere chap. Sir, this is what is happening. And I said, what the hell you? And I in fact bought a book called Ropes to Skip and Ropes to Jump, which takes MBA in the first year of his journey in any job, and sent it to him. Read this book and then do whatever it says. Crazy. Our students get into all kinds of these kinds of problems in the initial days. I used to remember. I really miss Madgula. Madgula is a
more stories, I'm sure, but we're getting close to 2 hours. So I think we'll wind down the session. Invite Professor Hitesh Bhatt. He wanted to share too. So, sir, all yours.
Thank you very much, Jayapadma and Priya. Raja, I joined IRMA in July '95, and you were in Germany that time. You'd gone for some program on economics, I think, in economics. And I had a different journey than yours. I came after 16 years working in industry because I wanted to teach. And I did not know what to teach. And when I joined, you were not there. So what happened is I became a proxy teacher for one other colleague who was also like me, who had done industry experience and then teaching. And he was going for a sabbatical to IIT Bombay for his PhD. He said, I've got 2 courses, why don't you take them up? There were 2 optional courses. And Jayapadma was the student that time, PRM 15. And believe me, they were not my courses, and I had to do them, and I missed it completely. I was feeling awful. I said, this is not done. So when you came back, I asked you, I had a meeting with you. I said, Raja, what do I do? Because I really want to teach, and I don't know what to do. And you went, just like the way you told us right now, that you never have answers. You ask questions to us, and then we go through that process ourselves, as if we are doing it ourselves. Say, hey, what is your background? What have you done? And I had no clue about what cooperative was, honestly speaking, because my whole world was corporate at that time. And then suddenly you brought me to an area called POM. And I said, Raja, but I don't know POM. And he said, okay, but I know POM. So what you do is, for the next batch, which starts now, I think it was PRM 16 batch, Priya's batch, where you were going to teach POM. He said, why don't you audit my sessions? And I did that. And next time, the more beautiful thing was that, Raja, in PRM 17, probably when I handled POM, I don't remember it rightly, but I must have, you audited my sessions. And believe me, Raja, you asked me the most difficult questions that time. And I hated you for that. Because you literally tore me apart. I had no answers. But then you made me work harder every day. And today, Raja, there are 2 people I owe my career to, teaching career to and training career to. One is you, for telling me how to teach a PRM participant. And one, Balaji, for telling me how to train an executive. And I'll never forget that. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Such a beautiful sharing. Thank you so much. Professor Raja, really for spending this time with us. I mean, time is it just flew. We've kind of blitzed through 2 hours, and it's been so engaging. Thank you so much for joining us, and all the panelists, also all the participants, for your energetic engagement through this session. We're looking to continue the series, invite other professors over the next 10-12 weeks. We have the series coming up, so do stay tuned. Same time, Sundays, 4 p.m. We'll start these sessions, and yeah, we're looking forward to these sharings. It's really bringing back a lot of energy to all of us. So, final words, Professor Raja.
There's nothing called final words. Picture abhi bhi baki hai.
Yes. Indeed, picture to abhi bhi baki hai.
My apologies, and let me resume from where we left. So this is where we are, and Sir Narayanpur, you talked about it, and the great faculty that taught us. Sir, you are serial number 52 who passed out from IIM-FPA in 10 years. And there are 18 such distinguished fellows from IIM-FPA who taught us, and of course, when we talk of IRMA, we can't...
wow, look at these photographs.
Yeah, forget Dr. Kurian, but then Professor Tushar Shah, Pratap Reddy, Arul Sir, and Balaji, Shekhar, and
there's Raja.
Yeah. So please identify. Professor Fansalkar, Legal Environment.
Subhash Sharma, Rajesh Agarwal, Subramaniam.
And DPM 6 on 10, which is the code name for our batch.
Vaswani.
Vaswani.
Yes, Professor Vaswani.
Bakshi. Mr. Bakshi is sitting there.
Yes.
And Prasad, Vallabh,
Pankaj
Saxena, Pankaj,
Qatar Singh, Naga.
Jain, SK Jain.
Naga, yeah.
Naga is there.
And
the great Raja.
The great Raja.
Oh, what?
So in our batch, when I said I have a session with Professor Raja, he says there is one word which rhymes with you, and that is Baja. And Raja ne sabka Baja baja diya tha, and that is what the common refrain of the batch was. And of course, this is what your Tao is today also with me. And the very first case...
it looks very unused, yeah, Jain?
Yes. There is a Madras refinery case also. But this is the first case, sir.
Yeah, this is the one Devarajan's batch sort of boycotted. Yeah.
And see, for 28 years, I was doing marketing only. A couple of years back, I was asked to go to Amul Dairy to serve as an in-charge MD. And the first thing I did was exactly what this case says. I went to the dock and saw the entire system there. And for next 7 days, 125 managers of Amul were on the milk tankers. And we studied every single route of Amul Dairy and tried to reconfigure this entire thing. And this case ends with a cigarette, which you just mentioned in the earlier remarks. So fantastic case, but even today relevant. So this another one thing which I want to really, I mean, which we regularly refer to is your volumes on cooperation, rediscovering cooperation seminar that you did. I think wonderful work IRMA did in those days.
97. That is 97. That was my swan song as far as IRMA is concerned.
And the sugar and the sectoral economic issues, the caselets are wonderful, sir. So in IRMA, we used to do a lot of interesting stuff. And this is the autograph of my batchmates, which we took 30 years back. Srini, you can notice, is doing billion-dollar deals, even sitting working at home. And Ajay Shastri is acquiring millions of acres of land in Africa. And almost a lot of faculty members, a lot of good work done by our batchmates in those days. So this is what our batch was about, and we are grateful to you. There are some things which are secrets, which I told my batchmates that I'll reveal at their own risks. And this is what the graffiti we used to do. So this was before the age of Twitter, before the age of WhatsApp. And this is all graffiti our batchmates we used to do in every single class of IRMA. After the session is over, we would used to paste it on the notice board at the mess. A lot of faculty members also used to walk around and look at it. But a lot of interesting stuff our batch did. I thought I'll share with the group here so that it reminds us of the wonderful days we had. Transparency was a very interesting thing. A lot of the young generation would not know what a transparency is all about. But we had multiple styles of transparency. Professor Subramaniam had his own style. Professor Shekhar has his own style of transparencies, recycled transparencies and overlapping transparencies by Professor Balaji. A lot of interesting work.
You can never blame me for using transparency in class.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. And we used to also comment on ourselves and our performance in the classes. And there is one, we had these MTS presentations. And in one of these presentations, Professor Subramaniam said that if lassi is to be positioned as a traditional drink, they should sell it in matkas like George Fernandez is selling that tea in coolers. And Prashant immediately retorted saying, sir, he has lost his job. So these are all fantastic anecdotes and references that we have in our days, and I thought of it. And we also talked about our own work in MTS and the comments that we had about all of us and the faculty members in those days. And this is a snapshot of so many of them, which I have compiled in this present. I've kept it with me as a nostalgia of so many graffitis posted on the notice boards, and it serves us a good insight of what we did in those days.
Yeah, I should spend some time with you, Jain, when I come to Anand.
Yeah, yes. Yes, Jatra was a big thing, as you know, and we had a lot of batch rivalry in those days. Yeah. And sir, let me tell you one thing. This is what a survey which we did amongst ourselves. And you look at the last point, number 12. You are among the best professors our batch used to rate. I mean, Professor Fansalkar, Professor Ballabh, Raja, Siksich, Janath, Subi, Madhavrao, Arul, Shekhar, and so on and so forth. So this is Pakka market survey work done way back in 1989-90, and you are right there on the top, sir. So thank you for all that. So IRMA, apart from the great faculty that we had, I think this office and the supporting staff also played a good role in helping us, our stay and experiences there. I mean, be it Soman Nair or be it BC Patel or Dave of Tau, or name any officer, Harun of in those days looking after the AV. I think they did a great job in shaping our experiences there. And as everything ends, well, this is what the recruitment situation, I mean, the final, the placement and the convocation. Dr. Manmohan Singh came us, talked about liberalization, and then he, straight after our convocation, he became the Finance Minister of India. This is the speech of Dr. Kurian, which he gave at our convocation. And sir, finally, this is the slide, and you placed us in the respective organizations where we joined immediately after IRMA as a placement coordinator. And I'm happy to be still working in AMUL for the last 30 years. And as in the earlier discussion we had, dinosaurs.
You are in AMUL or Federation now?
That's a federation, sir, but working under AMUL brand. So this is what it is. So thank you so much, sir, for all the wonderful memories, what you taught us. And basically, it is not just a 2-year course. It's a lifelong course in management that we have all enjoyed. Thanks to all of you. Thank you so much.